Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm, and my YouTube channel is Greg Judy Regenerative Rancher. Welcome new viewers to my channel, and today's topic we're going to be talking about farm internships. I get a lot of people asking, well, Greg, how do you set that up? You know, how do you do, what's the management and what's behind your internships? What all does it take to do that? And what can you expect? And, basically A, B, C, D, and all that. So we're going to cover all that. And again, for you all new to the channel, welcome. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the way out if you like what you're hearing here. So let's get started here. So farm internships, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about, are we working with local colleges and letting the graduates come out here on a summer internship and learn, regenerative ranching? No. We're not doing that. I'm not saying you can't do that, but our avenue is we get the interns off of farms, we get college educated kids, we get a whole host of them, but most of them find out about it through our internship program on our website. We talk about it on our website, which is greenpasturesfarm.net. We also, I've done a lot of talks around the country for the last, I'm sounding old here, but the last 18 years. I've been around a little while. And we started doing internships. Our first one was in 2006. And, we've learned a lot. We've had some really good ones. We've had some that weren't as good. And, they're people. They're people. And kind of like livestock, there's really good livestock and there's some livestock that aren't so good. People are the same way. And so it all depends on the individual. We've had some really good girl interns. We've had some really good boy interns. So, we're not prejudiced one way or the other. Is if they have the passion and the work commitment and the honesty to come to work every day with a good attitude, we can teach them. Folks, there is an unbelievable opportunity out here for folks in regenerative agriculture today, young folks. And I was kidding a guy yesterday that came, and I said, man, I wish I was 20 years old again. There is unbelievable. I mean, we're talking worldwide opportunities here. I didn't realize how much it was until I did a little blip on an intern last year, and the response we got from all over the world. People wanting a trained person who knows how to handle animals and can graze and manage land, okay? And has the thinking cap up here to do it, the experience. So that's what we're about. We're trying to teach young people how to get back out on the land, and they can be successful as well, okay? The number one thing, and I want to dispel this belief, or, people think this is not an internship, right here. No. It's not cheap labor. And if you're going to approach interns, I can get a couple young kids out here to do all the stuff that I don't want to do, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to be successful. They're not cheap labor. You got to put some commitment into them. You've got to give them a good place to live. You've got to treat them with respect, but that goes both ways. They need to treat you with respect. And if they don't, well, then you just need to tell them to get on their way. That's the number one thing. If they don't treat me with respect, well, then I'm pretty much done with them. They've got to have respect, because if they don't have respect for you, what do you think they're going to do on their next position? They may last a little while, but it's going to come out. You've got to be humble. You've got to be humble. And that goes both ways. You've got to be humble, and the interns need to be humble. If they make a mistake, they've got to be able to sit there and listen to you tell them they made a mistake without them getting all upset, okay? If you got somebody you can't even talk to, well, then that person is not going to be somebody that you can form and train, okay? We do require applications, so you got to fill out an application. And you need to come up with your own application. Ours is very simple. I think there's 12, 14 questions in there. Two of them are real simple. How old are you? And You got any allergies? You know, they're not long questions, but there's some of them that are a little bit more deep, but we want to get a little bit of history about you and get references. We ask for 3 references, and the references can't be from your immediate family. It's got to be an impartial somebody you work for, hopefully, or maybe it was a college professor that you worked for in the summer under another internship. Somebody that can vouch for you. Okay. You've got to, when you get down and you get all your applications for these interns, we're getting quite a few now. You lay all those down and you go through them, and then we settle on about 3 to 4. And then we bring those 4 in and we actually work with them for 2 to 3 days on the farm with Jan and myself and the other interns. And you can tell a lot about somebody in 2 or 3 days of working on the farm under some pretty undesirable situations. I'm not talking about just going out and moving cattle on green grass on a beautiful spring day. I'm talking about getting out and doing something a little bit more intensive than that. Whether it's ripping brush out, rolling up barbed wire, or whatever. Have a chore that's going to invest a little sweat, maybe even, they're tired at the end of the day. Because there's going to be some days like that on the farm. They got to realize that most folks don't realize what it's involved in running a farm. It is a 7-day-a-week commitment. Now, you can be gone for up to 2 weeks, but you need somebody to fill in for you. And that's all under management. So when you go out on your own farm, you've got to have somebody that can move the animals while you're gone. And I highly recommend you being gone. You need to be gone. So our interns, first of all, the application, we do give 2 weeks vacation. Can't spell. 2 weeks vacation. Okay. We do encourage them to have their family, whether it's a mom and dad or sister, brother, have them come to the farm sometime through the internship and let them see what you're doing, or you can go do whatever, but we encourage family to come see them because this may be the first time you've ever been away from your family. Okay. We want to share in the experience with your family. Let them come. The other thing is you got to give them a stipend. And that, I'm not going to get into the amounts, but you've got to pay them something. And, depending on what kind of internship you're doing, if it's a livestock internship, like what we're doing, we're moving animals twice a day, 7 days a week. They're putting out some sweat for you folks. And they're putting out a lot of labor. And hopefully they're thinking. And I can't say enough about the 2 we have right now, Ben and Isaac. I mean, they're just unbelievable. They're just unbelievable. They're always thinking. And I love working with young people that are thinking all the time. It stimulates me. I mean, I get to thinking about things. And just a quick example, I mean, this morning we moved the animals and I'm just thinking about rolling the wire up. Before we ever got there, Isaac's like, Greg, could we move that handle up, just lift the wire up and let the bulls come through? It's going to save us 30 minutes. I'm like, you know what, we can do that. Ben the other day, he comes up with stuff all the time too. I mean, they're just unbelievable, good, young, smart men. But you got to have folks that are excited about what you're doing. They got to have a good attitude. You can work with those folks, but here's the key. If you don't treat them like human beings, and they need to be rewarded in verbal and monetary, some way. If you don't, and not willing to do that, don't do an internship. In other words, you've made the decision that you're just going to continue on status quo with what you're doing. But folks, these young folks, they can help you a ton. And not only with just doing tasks on the farm, they think differently than we do. I just turned 60 last year, and these young folks that are coming on our farms, they're 19 to 25, 28. They think differently. I like ones that don't have any experience on the farm sometimes. Those are some of the best, because they just think clear out crazy stuff. And like, well, wait a minute, that wasn't so crazy. Here's what we do. When they come onto the farm, we're going to do things the way that I want them done to start out with. But then I encourage them to be looking at holes in our system, maybe different ways of doing things. I encourage that. I want that to happen. I think you need to be willing to go out there and work with them. Okay? And Jan and I are the farm owners. They came here to learn what I know, and I need to install that in them, okay? The other thing that we're doing is every week we get a lesson. They get an intern lesson one-on-one with me. And we may spend 1 hour. If it's a really deep topic, it may be 3 hours. And at the end of the topic that I picked for the day, they get a handout. We go through those topics. And at the end, there's questions, time for questions and dialogue. You know, we go over all their questions. And it may be a different topic, not even related to what I covered that day. You've got to spend some time with them. They're not cheap labor. They're not somebody to go out there and just move a wire for you. You've got to teach them to think. You've got to teach them to have respect. And if you treat them well, the ones we've had so far, they'll treat you well. We've had some that weren't so good, and those are the ones that are not working in the business today. They didn't have, well, they just didn't have the passion for it. And once they got here, they found out, well, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it was. Some of them had this idyllic thought that you just sat out on the field and watch cattle graze green grass all day. No, there's more to it than that. There's a whole lot more to it than that if you want to be successful. It does require some physical labor. I mean, I just pulled the tick off me a while ago. I mean, you're going to have some of that. Well, no, that's not one. The boys, we were putting in packs the other day, and their pants, they must have had 20 ticks on each leg. They're knocking them off. You've got to go through some of that, okay? That's just part of it. Being out in warm grass that's this tall and it's moist, you're going to have critters like ticks. You got to be able to adapt to that. Just keep them off you. That's what we do. We check ourselves twice a day. Hardly ever found one. We hardly ever find one that is stuck to us. So you got vacation. You're paying them. You're giving them respect. And at the end of every day, when they get out, you let them off. It doesn't cost anything to say good job. Folks, I worked in town for many years. I only had one boss over all those years that said, Greg, good job. The rest of them all managed by management by intimidation. In other words, they tried to belittle you, put you below them, so they built themselves up by breaking you down. Folks, that's not the way to stimulate creativity at all. I'm going to shut down. I'm not going to give you anything. I mean, you're going to treat me like that? Fine. We call that, well, there's an old term for it. That's called crapping in your nest. Okay? If you're going to do that. They also need to treat your wife with respect. Because your wife is half owner of the farm. And we've had some problems with that in the past. When I leave, if I go do a school or something or do a consultant, you know, they treated Jan kind of rough, some of them. You know, I'm like, wait a minute, guys. You can't do that. Jan's 50% owner in this farm too. Okay? If you don't respect her, that's just saying you don't respect me. Period. So that's the other one. Oh, I didn't cover this. Where do they live? Living conditions. Living conditions. Give them a nice place to live. Don't put them in a spot that you wouldn't live in. You can't give them a wall tent and make them go out behind a tree to use the bathroom at night. They got to have a nice place to live. The place up here that we have our interns living in, it's a whole lot better than what I started out with. A whole lot better. It's nice. It's a mobile home. It's got 2 bedrooms in it. It's got 2 baths. They share all cooking duties. You know, washer dryer. They got a freezer in there to store their meat. We give them meat, grass-fed meat, milk, and eggs. Okay? And they have a place up there to raise a garden if they want to raise a garden. That's up to them if they want to do that. We work from 7:30 in the morning until 5 at night. Some days it's earlier than that. They get off at 4. Some days they may work till 6. It all depends on the day. I wanted to bring my guys with me when we did a farm walk the other day. Went to another person's farm. I'm getting ready to do one this coming week. A guy wants me to come and help him lay out his farm. I'm going to bring those boys with me. I want them to see a blank farm and how I go out and design that thing, okay? Or my ideas about how I would design it. You need to involve them in all that kind of stuff. We did on bull sales. The boys are helping me with that. I want them to be involved so that when they go out on their own, they know how to negotiate a bull sale, how to pick out good bulls. Same thing on sheep sales, guard dog. You got to invest your interns in the monetary part of it too. So when they leave, they know how to do marketing. That's all. That's the biggest part of it, is the marketing. If you can raise it, but you can't sell it, you're probably not going to be successful. Okay, good place to live. Saturdays and Sundays. Like I said, we work Monday through Friday, but on Saturdays and Sundays, we still do chores. We got to move the animals, but we don't want to do anything in between. I want the boys or the girls, whatever, take off and do something fun. Maybe it's going fishing, maybe having a picnic, or whatever they want to do, hiking, rock climbing, whatever. They need that time off. We all do. So Saturdays and Sundays, it's just chores, and we're done. We don't do anything else through the day, okay? They need that time away. I think that kind of covers. I'm sure I left out a ton of stuff, but that's what's at the top of my list right now. Folks, they have unique minds in them. Make sure you get guys that are, and girls that are passionate about and want to do this for a living. That's key. Because I'm telling you what, these two I got right now, they're asking me questions. Very serious questions. All the time, and I love it. Because I'm like, now there's a guy that's engaged. He wants to get something out of this internship. They're already counting ahead, like, oh man, darn it, we've been there 2 months. It's like, oh, it went so fast. And I thank him every day, and when I pay him, they're like, we just enjoyed this so much, Grace. Almost like it's just too much fun to get paid for. I'm like, no, you need to be paid. You need to be paid. And folks, there's a really good business out here for trained entrepreneurs that want to learn how to be regenerative ranchers. I'm telling you, you can write your own meal ticket. I'm telling you, there's people out there looking for you. And there's people that have a lot of land, a lot of livestock, and they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue how to do it correctly. But you will after you do a good internship. And I'm telling you, that's the wave of the future. Without the young people, what are we going to do? We got to have the young people coming back on the land doing this stuff. And I'm excited. So with that, I think I'm going to close her down. Go to our website, Green Pastures Farm. Hit that subscribe button when you leave here. We're going to be having a grazing school here in September. Check out my books, No Risk Ranching and Comeback Farms. They're on our website, greenpasturesfarm.net. And we'll see you all down the road. Thank you all.